sometimes the smallest act can uncover the deepest story. And tonight, as you listen, I want you to imagine yourself standing right there, because by the end of this story, you'll realize it's not just about them, but about you, about me, about all of USA Broken Bar. It was a rainy evening in the city, the kind of night when most people wanted nothing more than to hurry home, kick off their shoes, and forget the world. But inside a cozy but struggling Italian restaurant, business was still going. At one corner table sat a man in a plain jacket, his hair damp from the weather, looking like just another tired customer. He was polite but quiet, and no one in that restaurant knew that he was actually Ethan Ward, the CEO of one of the largest restaurant chains in the country. He was there undercover, and not as a test, not as a stunt, but because he wanted to understand why his newest acquisition, a once-beloved family diner, was failing. The waitress on duty that night was Anna. She looked younger than her years, with tired eyes and a forced smile, the kind of smile that had to hold back a storm. She moved quickly between tables, carrying trays heavier than her frame seemed built for. But what caught Ethan's eye wasn't her speed or her politeness, it was the flicker of worry in her eyes whenever she thought no one was watching. He observed quietly. Anna seemed to know every customer's favorite dish, remembered who preferred extra butter, who liked their pasta spicy, and even slipped a small piece of candy to a little boy at one table when his parents weren't looking. She worked with a heart, though clearly exhausted. The night wore on. Tables cleared, the restaurant quieted, and that's when Ethan saw Anna slipping into the kitchen after hours. She looked around carefully, thinking no one was watching, then picked up a small paper bag. Inside, she placed several pieces of leftover bread that had been destined for the trash. She folded the bag tightly, tucked it into her worn purse, and sighed, almost guiltily. Ethan was curious. Why would a young woman risk her job for leftover bread? He approached gently, not revealing who he was. "Late night snack?" he asked with a half-smile. Anna froze. Her face went pale, her lips parted, but no words came. She looked like a child caught stealing candy. Finally, she whispered, "Please see Broken Bar. Please don't tell the manager." "Yeah, I'm not stealing. It's just a broken bar. It's just bread." Her voice cracked. "I need it." There was something raw, something so honest in her tone that Ethan didn't press further. He simply nodded and walked away. But that night, he couldn't sleep. That image of her clutching a bag of stale bread haunted him. The next day, he returned. He sat in the same corner, watched the same tired smile, the same heavy steps. When the shift ended, he waited outside. He followed her, not out of suspicion, but out of deep concern. Anna didn't take a bus. She didn't drive. She walked for nearly an hour in the drizzle until she reached a tiny apartment complex on the edge of town. Ethan hesitated, but then saw through the thin curtains of her window. Inside, two children sat at a small table, one boy, one girl. Their faces lit up as Anna entered with the paper bag. She pulled out the bread, slicing it carefully, and placed it before them as if it were a grand feast. The children ate happily, smiling through crumbs, while Lana sat back with tears she tried to hide. Ethan's chest tightened. The CEO, who lived in a penthouse with food at his disposal, now found himself staring at a woman who was barely surviving and yet giving everything she had. He felt something shift in him that night. The following week, he made a decision. He returned not as a stranger, but as himself. He walked into the restaurant, called the staff together, and introduced himself. Gasps echoed. Everyone looked shocked except Anna, who simply stared in disbelief. He explained why he had been there undercover, why he had watched them work. Then he looked at Anna directly and said, "But what I saw in you, I will never forget." Tears filled her eyes as he revealed what he had witnessed, that she wasn't stealing food, but saving her children from hunger. In that moment, Anna broke down. She told her story, how her husband had abandoned them, how she worked double shifts to pay rent, how some nights she went without eating so her kids could. She never asked for pity, never begged for help, as she just carried on, quietly, bravely. Ethan listened, deeply moved. Then he did something Anna never expected. He told her she wasn't just a waitress anymore. "From today," he said firmly, "you'll manage this place." He offered her training, a higher salary, and support for her children. He even arranged scholarships for her kids. The room went silent. Anna covered her face and saw Brad, and not because of the money, but because someone had finally seen her, truly seen her. Over the months, the restaurant flourished under Anna's care. She treated every employee like family, every customer like a guest in her home. Ethan often visited, no longer undercover, and each time he felt something stronger growing between them, and not just admiration, but love. He admired her resilience, her compassion, her quiet strength. And slowly, Anna too found herself drawn to him, not for his wealth or position, but because he had stepped into her darkest night and offered light without asking for anything in return. By the time the restaurant turned profitable again, their bond was unshakable. Ethan wasn't just the CEO anymore. He was the man who had fallen for the waitress who once hid bread in her purse. And if you're still listening, ask yourself this: how many people around us are quietly fighting battles we never see? How many Annas pass by us each day, smiling while hiding storms? Sometimes, the smallest kindness, the willingness to look dapper, can change not just one life but two. Because love doesn't always start with grand gestures. Sometimes as a broken bar, it begins with a bag of leftover bread. This is where you, the viewer, join the story. Because the question isn't what Ethan discovered about Anna, it's what we discover about ourselves when we choose to look closer, to care deeper, and to never underestimate the quiet strength of someone who refuses to give up.